Welcome in, ladies and gentlemen, to another live stream. We're doing an unboxing today. If you're new here, my name is Skylar Santana, and on this channel, we talk about all things watch related. And if you're watching this on the playback, I do appreciate you guys as well. There will be timestamps to the unboxing because I like to go on rants for far too long, and that sometimes happens, but it is what it is. So, had to get this one. Super excited, man, to do this unboxing. You can kind of call it a impulse buy almost. But at the same time, we're going to talk about the significance of this watch and why it isn't, in my mind, as an enthusiast, an impulse buy, by the way. So, what's on wrist is what everybody wants to know. And I've got my Brew Metric Retro, and I have my brother's Brew that he got at Windup as well. Fantastic, man. This watch, I think out of the two, these are probably the most popular ones that they sell. I have to guess. And as you guys know, Brew just came out with a collab watch with Teddy Baldassar. So we're going to get into that on Monday. Hopefully, we will get a panel going where we can talk candidly about a lot of new releases that are coming out for YouTubers that are making watches. It was kind of like a domino effect, right? Everybody was waiting for the holiday season and everything else. So excited to talk about that. And we have a couple of more shows that are going to be coming in over the course of next week as well. We're going to be sitting down with Mark Time. We're going to be sitting down with Mr. Cohen. We haven't talked to them for about a year, so I do want to catch up and see what they're up to as well. So, and it's always a good conversation to speak with Barry Cohen as well. Gaetano, what's going on? Professor Skyler, thank you, bro. Maybe it's the glasses, you know? Oh, on my other wrist, by the way, we've got the F91 dubs because that comes with me always. That stays with me. So, the Futurist, man, by Vario. I think it's a very important watch. I think that this watch is going to be a little different, right? I think it's going to be a watch that really elevates the brand altogether. We're going to get into that as well, and I'm going to have some specs. Now, I am unboxing this, and I did open the box prior, but all the stickers are still on it, so it's still a very new watch. This is more so my first impressions, and now that we have a couple of people in chat, I'm going to start the unboxing process very, very soon here. But this is going to be my first impressions of Vario. I have a very good relationship, as you guys know. Now, you saw the sponsored there. I did pay for the watch, but Ivan gave me a very good discount on the watch. So, you know, YouTube wants me to disclose all of that. So, it is what it is. Spectre Controls in the building. What's going on, bro? So, let's get to it, man. And I'm going to have to just move the camera around a little bit just so like that we can get to the unboxing. So, bear with me, guys, as I just switch gears. So there's the box itself. We're going to crack that open. And I'm going to show you guys which one I decided to go with. And you probably could guess by now which colorway I wanted. So this is the packaging all together. He's got some nice bubble wrap in there. Now, something that's a little new is this satchel. This is not something that I've seen before from Vario. So it's pretty cool, actually, just to hold everything together. So let's open this up. We of course have his little Pelican case here that he's very famous for. This kind of already gives it away as to what color I went with. We have this card here, which just explains the inspiration for the Futurist. We'll talk about a couple of things. And this is of course, the warranty card that's filled out, but nobody's here for that. We're all here for the watch, I'm sure. Let me just correct this angle a little bit more. Yeah, that's a little bit better. Well, actually, you know what? I don't want the reflection. There we go. Okay, cool. So, let's open it up and take a look at it together, shall we? So you have your little cleaning cloth here. And here is the colorway that I decided to go with. This is the Futurist watch that I decided to... Now, I don't know, man. Lately, you guys seen a lot of 1970 inspiration watches, and I feel like I'm falling in love with that kind of look altogether. That's been going... I've seen that as a really big theme when it comes to watches and people utilizing it. And I'll tell you what, it's something that's very, very exciting. So first things first, let's go over some of the specifications while I pull this up on my handy dandy assistant. So this is going to be a 39, kind of like a Goldilocks size, right? So I'm going to put this on wrist so you can see what it looks like on my 7¼ inch wrist. But this is a 39 diameter. This has a thickness, or I don't know, at this point, maybe you want to say thinness, of 10 millimeters. It's going to be 48 millimeters lug to lug, which is fine. I know that my wrist can handle pretty much a 4950 ish. Again, all of that is determined by the actual curve of the lugs itself. The greater the curve, the longer lugs that you can deal with, especially if you go with the bracelet. Now, this is coming on strap. He will have a bracelet option. I'll show you guys what that looks like as well. But you know, Vario's known for their straps. Now, I'll be completely frank with you guys. The strap was stiffer than what Vario normally produces when it came to this. Not super stiff where it feels, you know, like lower quality. But I did have to break this in a little bit when I first got the watch, and you guys can see the creases within it. It was like a little stiff when I put it on wrist. So that being said, the quality is still absolutely phenomenal. We have a thicker portion here at the lug. It tapers down to a thinner piece. Of course, we have the hardware here that's polished and signed by Vario. And nice red buckle, nice red leather strap to go with the red dial, right? Noctua Watches is in the building. What's up, JP? Yeah, the burgundy red, Gaetano, is exactly the reason why I went with this colorway. Now, all of the colorways are fantastic when it comes to it. I'm going to show you guys what the colorways look like, but let's go through the specs still. So this strap is a strap-friendly 20 millimeters. Again, it's a lug-to-lug of 48, 39 case, which again, for me, I don't know, man. I've been enjoying 37, 38, and 39 more than 40 and up. It has its day. It has its, you know, time where I do like to put the bigger sizes on. But for some reason, especially on like a classical style like this 1970s style, it makes a lot of sense, right? So I'm okay with that. BGW9 on the loom that you're going to get on here. It's going to have a push-pull crown. And we're going to talk about all the things in this watch that really makes it kind of daring for Vario, man. It's Vario, Ivan is very adventurous, and that's what I love about him. But it has a Miyota movement, a 9039, so it has a true no date on here. So there's going to be no ghost position for that crown, which is nice because the crown is on the 12 o'clock, which you guys probably already have noticed. So I like it. It's a clean, symmetrical look. It's something that's very different. That might drive somebody crazy, but I'm going to explain to you why it doesn't bother me. And especially because, you know, I don't have a lot of watches with it. So 10 millimeters of water resistance as well. You guys can see I'm cheating. 10 millimeters as well for water resistance, and that's just a push-pull crown. So that's pretty cool, man. That's as far as a dress watch goes, you know, to have, oh, I'm sorry, I'm saying 10 millimeter, 10 ATM, 100 millimeters, 330 feet of water resistance, okay? So technically, you could jump in a pool with this and be okay, but I would imagine that, like you, like me, you guys are not going to challenge this aquatically, right? That doesn't make any sense. Hannibal's in the building. What's going on, bro? As I said, BGW9, 9039 automatic movement. The crown is at the 12 o'clock. And the biggest thing about the watch, right, is this faceted crystal. I think that this is where, and I don't think I can zoom in. Can I? Oh, I can. Look at that. So I think that's going to be the major decision point, right? I think people are going to be very interested in this faceted crystal, but they're going to feel a little type of way. And let's take off the plastic, by the way, just so you guys can see. Brand new watch. Now, like I was saying before, this watch, Ivan has really stretched his designer skills when it comes to what he applied to here. The fact that he put the crown at the 12 o'clock, and you guys can see he recessed the lug space in between in order to make that work. I did wind the watch, I did set the watch. It's not terrible. It is very different though, right? Obviously, it's going to be a little bit more difficult than you would set a regular watch. So that's how I do it here. You pretty much just run your thumb. It's hard for you to get a grip underneath while you're doing that, but I just run my thumb in order to change the time. So let's get it to that classic 10:10 where people like to advertise the watches at, right? And then we're just pushing that down, right? So no go state position, which is very nice, 9039. And it's just very, very, excuse my language, ballsy to put a crown here, go with a faceted crystal, right? And everything else. And you guys can see how it just plays with the light. I mean, look at that sunburst red. It goes from like a wine or a burgundy to like a bright red when it plays with the light. And it's absolutely fantastic. Now let's take a look at the case back. Show you guys what that looks like. That has some plastic on it as well. Let's take that off. So we have, I don't know if you guys are gonna be able to pick that up, but we have kind of like an astronaut walking through his shuttle, right? As the case back engraving. Leaning into that kind of futuristic, that interstellar, you know, that kind of theme for the watch itself, right? And I think it's a very nice engraving that he did. I'm so happy that he did a solid case back, which keeps things thin, as you guys can see, for the screw-in case back. So that's the engraving for it itself. Now I want to show you guys something here. And look, the faceted crystal is something that you just don't see. And that is exactly why Ivan chose to go that route. He's a big vintage ink collector, and he didn't see too many available faceted crystals in the market. So that's what interested him to go forward and do that. And I love it. The indices, I don't know if you guys can pick that up, but the indices are slightly bent downward. They all have a touch of loom on there. There's a nice break at the end of the hands as well, so you could line up the minute hand and the second hand very, very easily. As you guys can see, there's a break here at the end. So if you want to get it exactly on the minute, you can. Very, very nice. He did the second hand kind of like a subtle type of look, which I thought was nice. And it almost has like a fume effect, right? On the outside of it, it also looks like it's getting darker with the way it plays on it. Now, on the chapter ring itself, let's clean the crystal. On the chapter ring itself, it's sloped, so he utilized that rehaut, right? And he did put the loom dots on there, which is very commonly seen with more vintage inspired watches as well. So that is correct. We have two at the 12, and then we have one pip going around at the fives, and then he utilized again that rehaut for a sloped chapter ring, which is very, very nice because it expands the actual dial itself and it lets you appreciate it. Now, what I really like that he did here was that he kept the text very minimal. We have painted Vario at the 12 o'clock, but other than that, there's nothing else on the watch. He didn't put automatic. I thought that that was a very, very smart design. To try and keep things minimalistic while still having all of the things on the outside to read the time. It allows you to appreciate the dial and the actual effect of the faceted crystal as well. So as you guys can see, maybe some people feel like, is it hard to read the time? As you guys can see, there is some glare that's happening on the faceted crystal that's, angular down. And then just so you guys can see, it's pretty much flat. Like it gives you that. That's one thing that I was wondering, right? Before I even got the watch, because not a lot of people had it in hand. There's not a lot of reviews. We are going to do a deep dive. You guys are going to get my deeper thoughts when it comes to this watch. But when you see pictures of it, because the way the faceted crystal makes that kind of illusion, it makes you think it almost has a dome crystal when it really doesn't, right? So it's really flat. We're talking about a total of 10 millimeters thin. Fantastic work as far as that's concerned. We have brushing on the side here. He did opt to go with a drilled lug here, even though he's giving quick release for the actual strap itself. That is a designer choice over here, by the way. But I think it's a little more than that when it comes to this watch. Now, let me catch up on chat. Let me see what you guys are saying. Is the chapter ring aligned at the 12 o'clock? I hope so. Yes, the chapter ring is aligned. You can see the two dots over there. So when you see that indice, you could kind of see where the loom rides up through it. So that's dead center. So you can see that he has it right on the money. Now, again, you asked that question probably because of the reflecting going on, but you guys can see here it's very, very lined up. And when it comes to Vario watches, he's very good at quality control. I haven't had any issues with any of the watches that I've received and reviewed when it comes to misalignment or anything else. So I really don't expect to see that. As a blacksmith urologist, I can confirm that the guy has got balls. Exactly, exactly. That this is in totality is very, very. I mean, I have to imagine because here's what you got to understand, right? When Vario did this watch, not only did he do the faceted crystal and he did the crown at the 12 o'clock, but then he had to go up market, right? He had to go upstream. He's a little bit more expensive on this watch than he is for his normal watches. So he really didn't know how the community would receive this. And I got to tell you, man, he doesn't need my help to sell these watches. When I reached out to him, actually, I said, hey, if you're looking for a reviewer, I'd love to take a look at that watch. He's like, to be honest with you, it's going really quickly as far as word of mouth. And I think that, I'm not 100% sure, But I think this is also on certain colors going to be limited edition, except for the gray dial that he has. But I haven't confirmed that, and you guys will know that a little bit more. So here are the four colorways that he has. He has the green, blue, all sunburst, gray, and red, right? He's got different straps for different of the colors. And then he's got this elastic metal bracelet that he's going to go with that. You guys seen me show you the Twisto Flex. And I think that with this watch, it's going to be fantastic. Now, I didn't get his version because I have a bunch of Twisto Flex, so I am going to put it on there. And I think that that would really tie things in, especially giving it that 1970 look. Now, understand this, going back to the drilled lugs, right? We spoke to Mark Time, right? And this is where I learned that drilled lugs is really just a choice, right? It doesn't cost more to manufacture drilled lugs as far as what he told me. So it's really a design choice. Now, I would imagine that he did that in case you were to put a strap on here that doesn't have the quick release. He doesn't want you fishing in between the lug, possibly hitting the crown and damaging it, right? So if you would imagine a tool here and you're trying to remove that spring bar and it doesn't have the quick release and it slips, well, now you have a chance to ruin the crown where you wouldn't normally have that option if it was at the 3 o'clock, 4 o'clock, and so on and so forth. So I think that that is a little attention to detail that's necessary and very, very smart. It's that inner thinking when it comes to the whole design. So I want to show you guys what the crown looks like. So we are still getting a signed crown as well. And as you guys can see, this is how he achieved it. He recessed it. Of course, without the strap, it's very easy for me to pull. It's very easy to wind at that point. You don't have to take it off the strap to do that. He made sure that there was enough space when you pull that crown out, only in that one position, because again, there's no ghost date wheel. And so you're not going to run any interference. And look, he's no stranger to putting this crown at the 12 o'clock, right? Like if I pull up his other watch, his Reversa, excuse me, you guys will see that design language and it'll showcase how he's already familiar with how that's going to work, right? So you have that here. Now, you'll say to yourself, well, that's not enough room, right? But this does flip out towards you, and then you could change the time on it as well. So we've seen this design language. He's no stranger to doing such things. He actually has the elastic band on here too, because it is like a vintage style looking watch as well. So he transferred that over. Now, I always tell you guys crown size matters. This is wide enough where it protrudes far enough past the actual bezel for your finger to get in there to do a wind, right? So you don't have to really worry about winding it. I was able to wind it while it was in the crown. And look, it's not the most comfortable thing. I'm not trying to sell you on the idea that the crown at this position is zero difference from having it here. You do feel like there's interference. You do feel like it's a little weird. But at the end of the day, you are capable of winding the watch and then pulling it out and everything else. So let's put back the straps, and then I'll give you guys an example of that. And then I'll put it on wrist, and then I will reach hat. How's that sound? So let's put this back on. Let me see. Quick release is nice, man. Very nice. It doesn't have the Seiko alignment. No, no, it doesn't. And you're not going to see many of that in the micro brand space because these guys really do pay a lot of attention to detail to make sure that doesn't happen. I mean, look, it could happen to anyone, right? At the end of the day, QC is QC. But, you know, they try to do their best. They're making small batches, right? Not to give Seiko an out, but, you know, they're not making as many watches as Seiko does, so that does help. So look, here's the strap. I'm going to pull the crown. So as you guys can see, there's enough space here to not interfere with the crown, even when it's fully pulled out, right? That's a full articulation. And you have the quick release knob here, which still doesn't run any interference. So you could pull the crown out. We can twist to the time. Well, let's pull the crown out. Twist to the time that you want. And you want to move it this way. I know you guys are used to manipulating the crown and which way you have to move for a Miyota movement, but you are sliding your finger this way in order to move it in the correct direction, if that makes any sense. Then you want to just push it down, and then you can wind it. Am I winding it the right way? That's the part that tricks me. I think this is the right way. So you do get a little bit of a shake because it is a Miyota movement. That doesn't ever really bother me. And that being said, let's put that on wrist and see what that looks like so you guys can see what it looks like. Now I have a 7 1/4 inch wrist. for reference, just so you guys know. And I'll tell you now, just from the dimensions itself, um, obviously the watch is going to fit, right? Like I didn't have to worry about that it being like a 40. If it was like a 42 millimeter and a lug to lug of 50, it'd be questionable. But because it has this smaller size, and I didn't talk about probably one of the most important things yet, but I want to show you guys the wrist shot. So here it goes down the barrel, right? So the lugs do curve. Again, I did manipulate this strap a little bit out of the box, because it was like sitting up high. You guys know how it is when the strap is stiff. It was sitting up high, but after a little bit of manipulation, it really worked, and that's just absolutely fantastic. I mean, the size, the dimensions, just everything really works. When people are looking at this, it's a conversational starter, not only for the crown, but also that faceted crystal. I have a 7.25 inch wrist. Now, I would imagine that this could also fit a 6.5 inch wrist. In the review video that I'll do of this, I'll have my wife put it on her wrist because she actually has a 6.5 inch wrist as well. But absolutely fantastic. And something that's going to really elevate the brand, right? Like that's the reason why I had to move on this. One, because again, I think that these are limited, especially on the colors like this. Let's go back to the website. Let me show you guys, just so you can see. That's not what I want. Automatic, Futurist. Here we go. So, if I'm not mistaken, I'll clarify this. I'll even put it as in the description or as a comment when I touch base with Vario. But I believe these three are limited to, I think it's 100 pieces. And I think this one is going to stay in the collection altogether. So if you guys are looking to be, have any interest and you're watching this unboxing and you like what you see and everything else, these are not going to be around, so much so that, he was not even going to put review pieces out there because he didn't feel like he needs it. And I don't think he's going to need it, right? From anybody who's even looking at this, I'm turning the phone like it's a watch. Anybody who's going to be looking at this watch is going to be interested, I think, just because it's so different and everything else. So let me see what you guys had said in the chat. It resembles the Oris Burgundy with the diamond. Yeah, I could see that, Hannibal, for sure. Absolutely, absolutely. So yeah, one of the other biggest things, man, one of the most biggest things in design language, and I'm gonna tilt it towards the light so you guys can see what I'm talking about. On the case itself, right? On the top of the case, we have engravings, we have scorings on here. Very nice. And you guys are gonna see nice, detailed close-up shots when I do the review. But there's a lot of things going on with the actual top of the case as well that makes it very interesting. As you guys can see, the bezel is slightly sloped and polished, right? So against that, instead of doing like a brush to give a contrast or a high polish throughout, which that would be the most common thing, right? To see in a dress watch like this. But he made it even more interesting by giving it these score lines, man. And I think that's absolutely beautiful throughout. Very difficult to do, to make it as even and as nice and neat as he did. And then because you have the crown being exposed here, we see the knurling. That's going to go ahead and just pair up nicely. And then we have these beveled edges that are polished to give it that dimension look where it'll make the watch look even slimmer, when it places off the light and everything else. So a lot of great things, man. I think he did a fantastic job with this watch. I'm really excited to wear this watch and give you guys my deeper thoughts. But as far as where it fits in the market, I think that's very easy for us to assess, right? Hold on while I switch the angle. I think it's very easy to figure out where this watch is going to sit in the market. Vintage inspiration has been a big thing. We've seen a lot of people do it. But when you go outside of the box and you really achieve a watch like this, I think it's something a little bit more special, and you guys can see with the light hitting it directly. I think that it's just it feels like a one of one. Now I know that there's a watch that exists out there that probably you get that's a homage. Well, yeah, I understand that. But what I don't see recently in watch companies producing is something like this, so bold and so daring. And I think that that's the MO for Vario. And I think that it is more than what he usually produces in watches as far as like price goes. But I think that that's okay. I think that with everything that you're getting, obviously you're getting 100% custom when it comes to this, from the case to the crystal to the crown position and everything else, aside from the movement, of course. But when you're getting something like this that's so unique and so different and not off the shelf. Aside from that, it's absolutely fantastic, and I think it's positioned in the market very fine. And he's going to do very, very good when it comes to this watch. What are you guys saying on chat? Beautiful, please. Simply simple works. Exactly, exactly. I think it works for sure. Have the collection. Just you could have a complete collection by. You know what, Spectre? That's a very good point, and not every brand is able to really make you feel that way, right? Like where their collection is so different in design. And there's some watches that are similar when it comes to him. If you look at his pilot watch or if you look at his trench watch, it has that circular design. It's similar, but there are enough differences. But I do have to agree with you. He's one of the brands where he's doing the designs from scratch. Most of his parts, or all of his parts, I should say, is all custom, right? So he's able to separate each collection enough where, yes, you're able to purchase whatever watch you want from it, and you can buy the whole set and really have that kind of full collection. So I do agree with that for sure. Let me see. Did I miss anything before? I read that. I think I'm caught up. It is like the King Seiko, only better. King Seiko, but only better. Beautiful piece. Simple. Yeah, I read that. Yeah, man. I think that Seiko, since you guys are talking about that, I think Seiko, was it the Presage? I think they were the last brand that I recognize to do a faceted crystal. You don't see that so often. Not having glare. And now, even though that this has that faceted crystal, I do believe that there is AR coating in it still. And I think that that is proper. You don't want to try to kind of shimmy around that because you have that faceted and you're going to be playing with the light on the crystal. I think he's still also put AR coating on there as well, so you could really appreciate the watch when you get it on certain angles and everything else. So fantastic, man. And I can't wait to get this on the Twisto Flex bracelet. I think that's going to really make things pop when it comes to that and everything else. So next week, we're going to have some guest speakers. We have Mark Time. We have Barry Cohen, like I said. We're going to revisit the conversations with them because it's been quite some time. You guys saw Mark Time at the at the Philly Watch Show. But I still want to have a conversation with him one-on-one to see what else he has. Now, I went back and watched the old interview. I recommend you guys do that before we have the interview. And guys, you guys are great. You guys attend my lives a lot of the time. So we are going to do those interview styles with them live. So get your questions ready for the brand itself. I have links in the description for the brands and everything else. So have your questions ready. Rewatch the last interview that we did with them, because what I'm going to be doing is I'm going to be picking off where we last left off and try to just extend the conversation from there. Also, on Monday, I'm going to have a conversation with you guys about some releases. So, Noctua is actually in the chat. I don't know if he's still here, but he's got a crazy Cyber Monday sale. And I didn't want to wait until Monday because he is one of the watch collections that we're going to bring up alongside of the Teddy X Brew. I'm going to give you guys my thoughts on that. The Mad Watch Collector just put out a fantastic diver. Who else do we have? Erebus is re-releasing their HAQ. You have the Flux watch. It was like a domino effect, man. There's a lot of things going on. So I'm trying to do my best to put a panel together. I already put it out there in the chat for other watch YouTubers if they want to join me in that conversation. If not, I could ride solo. And yeah, I just want to give you guys my thoughts. I want to hear what your opinion is about set watches and the fact that they're happening all so close. But going back, also Islander's on that as well. Islander has a ridiculous price. It's for his, I want to say his Northport 37 millimeter. He was giving the same deal at Windup. He's extending that for Black Friday. If you what did he just say? If you so happen to not have a Miyota Movement 9000 series, by the way, in your collection yet, sub $200. Okay, so if you like that design from Islander, you definitely want to check out his sales for Black Friday. Noctua again 40% off. So I've shown that watch so many times. That's a crazy discount. 40% off. He's trying to get some watches on wrist. So, capitalize that on Monday. So we're going to go live Monday, talk about all these brand new YouTuber watches that have been released, how I think it's positioned in the market, and how I think it's significant, because it's definitely significant as far as where things are going and how it contributes to watch enthusiasm and everything else. I mean, we go on YouTube on a weekly basis and watch these guys, so for them to come out with watches is a significant thing. Design Atelier put out another watch as well, the Valor, and thank you for letting me know that, Hannibal. I will. Does he have that already? Um, does he have that already listed on his website where we could take a look at that together and see what he has to offer for it? TGV and Hand Heart. Okay, that's another person that I'm going to add to the conversation. It's on Kickstarter. Perfect. So I will bring that up as well, Hannibal. Thank you for letting me know. TGV and Hand Heart's doing something, so I'll take a look at that as well. I don't think I can add any more watches to the thumbnail that I created for it, but if that is the case, man, that's something to talk about. I really like TGV. He does fantastic collaborations, and his input is very, very valuable. I think that when he does a collaboration, it's very unique. He has his finger on the pulse. He's been doing it for a very long time. Um, of course, going back to Jody. I mean, look, Jody and Erebus is the perfect example as far as a YouTuber doing a watch, right? I think that it's worth the look and worth the conversation, because these guys are handling hundreds and hundreds of watches a year, maybe even more when they're doing this full time. So you can expect to have all the things that you would want out of a watch, and Erebus has been nothing but an example of that. And if we look talking about the Titan as well, hopefully I can get that on the channel and we can take a closer look at that altogether. One thing I like about the faceted crystal is that it looks like a natural stone crystal. You know what, man? I never even thought about it that way. I just thought it was interesting enough, man. And look, going back to the crown and the 12 position, and it may not be possibly the most comfortable thing for you, I'm okay with making exceptions to the rule. Like, I don't want every single my watch having the crown at the 12 o'clock, right? But having a watch like this and composing it and giving you more than just one thing altogether when it comes to that design is fantastic. And I do agree with you, Spectre Control, that this does look like almost a natural crystal or stone or gem and everything else. What do you guys think about the sunburst on the dial? Do you think that there was another option? Because look, Vario can run with this, man. Vario can really, really run with this. I think that altogether, it's gonna be something that is gonna sell like hotcakes. And even when he discontinues set colors, right, or if it is limited and it runs out, I think you could really run with this. But you guys are just as enthusiastic and nerdy about this stuff as I am. So aside from the sunburst, do you think that there could have been a different kind of design that would have paired well? Now, mind you, you have to factor in the crystal when it comes to what dial layout that you put. Not the dial layout, but the actual dial material. So Sunburst was really, really smart, right? Because the crystal and now the dial itself plays with the light. Maybe somebody would say that, wait, that's way too much. I don't think it is. And it's still very, very, very legible, right? Like, even when I turn it, you could see even clearer where it has that kind of square in the middle and how it dimensions off after that. But reading the time, you could imagine that that's not going to be a tremendously difficult thing, right? That's still very, very legible and everything else. And it's not increasing any glare, right? Like, I have the light directly on it. You do see some glares playing off of the sides and stuff like that, but it's not like completely covering the dial where it becomes a problem. And therefore, I really feel that, obviously, and I know Vario, he definitely put AR coating. I don't even have to double check that. I'm more than certain that he did. But yeah, it's just beautiful, man. This color, again, it kind of looks like a fume with his darker chaptering on the edges. Smart move, Vario. Mr. Ivan, very smart move. You're going to sell a lot of these things. I am very happy and honored to own this timepiece. And I hope that you continue with the faceted crystal, because it's the crystal that I didn't know that I needed. And diversifying the collection, that's where it's at, right? So when you start to have a lot of watches, things could become very easily repetitive. You go after the bronze, you go after maybe 904L steel. You search after things that are going to stand out in your own collection. So to have something like that is just fantastic. What are you guys saying in chat? Let me see. The Valor is pretty cool. So is the Valor less or more than the Flux? That's what I want to know, because I know he said he wanted to make things a little bit more affordable. Robert Wood is in the building. What's going on, brother man? How are you? Good afternoon. The Sunburst completes the cut ruby gem thing. Yeah, yeah. That's what I mean. Like, I don't know if I'm trying to think, right? Aventurine would be wild with this watch. In fact, I'm surprised we didn't get Aventurine on this dial. Because if you look at the case back, it kind of has that interstellar with the actual I know it's hard to see, guys. I'm sorry. Oh, there you go. You can kind of see it there. You see an astronaut in his spaceship, right? Aventurine would have been wild. But then, I know Aventurine is very hard to work with. Maybe at that point he would have to attach it on. I don't know, man. I don't know. I think Aventurine would have been crazy too. 495, but now 350 or something. Damn, man, that is good. And you know what? Going back to, I don't want to talk about new watch, because we're gonna talk about this on Monday. We're gonna go in depth. That's a good price. That's a good price. 495 to 350. And the price for the Flux was a conversation as well, right? Like, a lot of people were shell shocked, but I understood it, Rand. Like, you have to understand, when a person, not only just a YouTuber comes out with a watch, just a person in general, what they're trying to achieve and where they want to be in the market, and then also what is in the watch, right? Like, you can't just look at the price and be like, well, that's crazy. Well, let's see what the watch has to offer. What are the features in the watch that got it to that point, right? And the Flux, for sure, once you break it down, 904L steel, the stuff that he did with the bracelet, I'm not too versed in it just yet, but I do know that there's a lot of things and there's a lot of ways that you can justify the price and everything else. And look, it's not like when he produced Set Watch, especially with the design of the case itself, they knew that that watch is not going to be for everybody, right? There's just people that are not going to vibe with it, or maybe they'll appreciate it and just feel like it's not for their wrist, and that's okay, man. Like, and I also believe that that watch is a limited run as well, right? And when it's gone, it's gone. So that was really him just letting you know what he's capable of, and showing that he's ballsy enough to want to venture into something that isn't so common. Because look, you can't have your cake and eat it too. The watch community and the watch market always is thirsty for something new and different. Therefore, when you get new and different, let's put the Brew watch on. I want to show you guys what it looks like. My wife says gold doesn't look good on my wrist, but I don't know. I don't know. This is fire. My brother has this watch. How are we the same wrist size? My brother, that's fire. You can't have your cake and eat it too. We are always looking for something that's different and unique. And then when we see that, we're like, oh no, that's too. I mean, is the Flux for me? No. Personally, it's not for me, but I respect the crap out of it. Almost got me. I almost had to put some money in the jar. I respect the crap out of it, man. And he did I'm really impressed with what he was able to come out. Now 220. Okay, that was for the price of the Flux, 2,800. Now 2,200. Listen, man, and everything that you're getting from that watch, I guess at the end of the day, every individual has to decide if that price is justified. But for me, I think it definitely is. In fact, most people would have charged more. But I think he wanted to get it on people's wrists, and he wanted to create his own buzz. Because look, he's got power in his channel to create a buzz on his own and get it out there. But I think effectively getting it on the wrist is the best form of advertisement there is. Wristful Ignorance is in the building. What's going on, bro? I told you the red looking. Yeah, you did say that, Nick. You did say that. And you know what? I had to get it, man. I had to, man. It was like an impulse buy, but not. And so we'll end the live with this thought in mind, and I'm gonna read your guys' chat, but we're gonna close things out soon. I think that this watch is bigger than what Ivan thinks it really is. Just speaking in my own perspective and my own opinion as a watch enthusiast and even as a content creator, when I saw this watch, it gave me the feels and it really made me appreciate a lot of things for it. But I think as a brand, because Vario is a fantastic brand before this watch, but I think that much like you have the metric retro, right, for brew. I think this one is gonna go ahead and put Vario on the map on a different level. So I think that this is going to be, and I'm not going to say that it's the catapult watch, right? Because he already had that. He's been there. He had that. It was with his Art Deco design. That's what really lifted the brand and gave it some steam. But I think that this one puts it in a different class on its own, and it really makes you understand and appreciate what Vario's capable of as a designer, which is what he really likes to do the most, right? So fantastic, man. I love it. I love it. And I'm going to put that thing on a Twisto Flex and I'm going to give you guys a deep dive as well. And you guys can take a look at it. We are going to have more watches that we're going to take a look at, man. Venetiano's got something in the mail for me coming soon as well. It's going to be their Arsenale. And so we're going to take a look. Again, another 1970 kind of case. I've been really leaning in towards the 1970s. And in fact, I've been looking at brands that specifically do it. Like that and White Dial has been like a catalyst for me moving forward. I think that I'm going to be heavily interested on it. Nick Figueroa, I said hi to you already, I think. Oh, I read your chat. What are you guys saying in chat? What are you guys saying in chat? I would be really interested to see a Vanta Black. Oh, yo, yes. Yes, like a Musu Black in this. Oh, now if he does that, so if he did a Venturine or he did Musu Black, right? I think I'm pronouncing that right, Musu. Vanta Black, Vanta Black. If he did that, would you still want the indices, or would you want it to be more minimalistic when it comes to that? Because like that's always the toss up. That's always the ball in the air. People want to appreciate the dial. They want it to be minimalistic. Now, depending on how much you want to make that minimalistic is you could peel back the indices. You can open up the dial even more. But he did an incredible job. Kind of, I think he bent the indices downward. It's such a playful watch where it makes you want to just like stare at it and figure it out. I don't even want to ask him. Like I just want to figure it out for myself. But if you did, that's a really good suggestion. Because I was thinking like meteorite, but then I was like, nah, that's not gonna work. Meteorite wouldn't work with this, I don't think. But I think a Venturine for sure, leaning back into that interstellar vibe, right, for the dial itself, or ultra black, yeah, for sure. Twisto Flex, you mean Spidel? Yeah, the Spidel. My brother's in the chat. My brother's in the chat. Got your. Yo, bro. I don't know how, but your watch fits on my wrist right now. So you beat. I'm confiscated. Who you calling? Mushu? What did I miss about the crystal? The crystal's faceted, bro. The crystal's faceted on this. So it's got that. Let me get the right angle. Boom, right there. You can see the triangle in the middle. I mean, the red though. What's your favorite color? Cause like I had to have the red. What's your favorite color on the watch? I had to have the red. I think the red is really, the green is fire. The green is fire too. Blue, you can't go wrong. And then the gray is really like a neutral, but the red. And I think that is the most popular one right now, if I'm not mistaken. As I asked him specifically for the red, and he's like, Mr. Santana, as much as I do appreciate your service, I'm not going to need it this time. And I was like, yeah, dude, I could see why. But the crystal is faceted, wristful. And that's a very vintage thing to do. And I didn't know, like, it was maybe a week ago that I found out that is a vintage thing to do. I got to be honest with you guys, I've never seen a faceted crystal. So this took me back in time, quite literally, it being called the Futurist. But it took me back in time to really look at that and say, huh, didn't know that that was a thing, but it's really, really cool to see it in a. And that's how I like to wear my K Swiss. I really like to wear vintage inspired with modern technology. I mean, look, 100 meters of water resistance on a watch that looks like this is outlandish in a good way, right? I'm not gonna go deep sea diving. I could probably jump in a pool. I'm not gonna do that either. But if it's raining and it's thunderstorming and it's coming down, I don't have much to worry about. And guess what? It's not a screw down crown. It's just a push pull crown. And I tell you guys all the time, man, it's not about a screw down crown that makes a water resistance, that makes a watch water resistance. It's all about your gaskets at the end of the day and how well you do the seals and how much room you have to play on set seals. So, 12 o'clock crown is definitely Vortic like. Yeah, 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 yeah. You know what? I didn't even think of Vortic because Vario did this on his Versa as well. But you're right, man. Those Vortic watches, turning pocket watches into actual wrist, that's such a cool concept, man. Shout out to Vortic, man. I hope he's doing well. Hope he's healing and everything else. But I get what you're saying there. And guess what? It has that element in it, sort of. It's not exactly circular for the case, so it doesn't give you a pocket watch vibe necessarily. But oh my goodness, it gives you a vintage vibe all the way around, and it just keeps it super clean. You don't have the crown, you don't have any crown guards. It's just super clean. I thought it was a very, very smart move to do that for sure. What are you guys saying? What do you call it? The Foster sons, half brother Vonta, and the rest of the family. My bank ads keep on coming out of the feed. Can they see me there? That's funny. Sapphire, yeah, Sapphire too. On top of that, it's very, very nice. My brother says, "Chill, don't steal my watch." It's faceted. Yes. What did I? Yes, I read that. I read that. So that's all I had for you guys, man. Let's wrap things up. I do appreciate you guys for coming on. Stay tuned for the lives that I have coming up this week, man, because we're gonna have a lot of fun. And guess what? I got some feedback. So for those of you in the live streams that have brought up watches, I will be paying more attention to that. I got a little tough love from my man Ben 10, who's not in the chat today, but he's like, "Yo, Skylar, we give you suggestions and you just skip over. What's up with that?" So whilst I do the lives and I would talk about some watches, if you guys have some recommendations, again, Hannibal, thank you so much for putting those updates for Design Atelier. I will be checking that out as well. That will be part of the conversation Monday. And then again, guys, throughout the course of the week, we're going to have some brand owners on the channel to talk about their watches. Talk about watches in general, right? I want to give them the spotlight to talk about their brand. That's why they're there as well. But I actually reached out to them because it's been a year, it's been some time, and I want to hear what their take is on the watch market, how they've been receiving things, and what their thoughts are as well, right? So like that we can get kind of like the behind the door themes for it as well. Aragon Concept S has a faceted crystal, looks like a spaceship, exactly, and that's exactly what this is. Kevin Cook is in the building. I'll have to check out the Aragon wristful. Yeah, man, Aragon. Listen, and I think that Aragon needs to be talked about a lot more. I would love to see Travis, right? He talks about Aragon quite often. But I think that the way he used to talk as much about Invicta, I think Travis should be um, Travis should be knighted by Aragon to receive every new watch that he comes out with, man. Because he goes up on the lives and he shows the watches anyway, and he's got such in-depth knowledge. And you guys know that there's been a lot of people moving away from market when it comes to Invicta for X, Y, and Z. At least that's what I hear. So the natural course is to go with that. And from my understanding as well, when it came to bigger watches, and this is what I learned firsthand by having an Invicta Joker on bracelet, the thing is a brick and it literally hurts my wrist. So watches that are that size, and we're talking about big boys, right? We're talking about your 50 millimeters. And I know there's a few of you in chat, and more than a few of you that enjoy set watches. Perhaps you would also enjoy an Erebus Titan as well for that reason. But I think that if you go with a bigger watch like that, titanium needs to be in the conversation just to offset the weight. Because at that point, if you have a 53 millimeter and it's titanium, I don't have one, but I will say that I have to suspect that it would still have enough weight to appreciate the watch. but offset the uncomfortability of the watch being too heavy. And this is why they call me the professor for sentences like that. Trap was the one influenced me on Aragon. And I'll tell you what, Travis Wiley is an enabler. Travis Wiley is an enabler, and you have to be careful when you watch his content because I'm going to talk crap about him because he's not here. Because he'll do that to you. He'll do that to you. And no one's safe. I'll have to check out. I read that NH35 on bracelet, NH35 on bracelet 250, and I think you're referring to the Aragon with the faceted crystal, and that's what I mean. Like Aragon, I've not heard anything bad about their quality, right? I've not heard anything bad about the design. People appreciate the designs. There's a lot of people that still and people and the conversation is watches are getting smaller, right? Watches are sizing down. I don't think that that's the case. I do think that smaller watches are being now more accepted into the watch community, and you're seeing that more often. But I think that even those, and I'm one of those people too. And I'm not talking about a 53 millimeter. I enjoy a 42. But quite recently, man, I've been loving 39 for this reason right here, man. It's just in control, right? This is a 37 to 39, I would say, is where I'm really enjoying some watches for sure. Yeah, Aragon, even at a bigger size, feels more comfortable and balanced. And there you go. That just goes to show you that Wayne, I think the gentleman's name is, he knows what he's doing with his watches. And for those of you that like big boys, Aragon is the suggestion right now, I think, and or Erebus, who entered the market, gave us a 34 as a micro brand, right, which I thought was super dope, and I believe it was still automatic with a Miyota movement, and then he just completely flipped the script with his Titan, and I think that that's a what? Is that a 42 or 40? Is it bigger than that? Is it a 43? I got to take a look at it as well. Kevin Cook, you said hi again. What's going on, bro? There's a market for large and small. Exactly. And you know what, Risful? I don't think that there is, like, there are people with a 7.25 inch wrist like mine where I enjoy a small watch and I enjoy a big watch at the same time. Sometimes I want to wear a 53 millimeter, believe it or not. And I'd be wearing that Invicta more that I have, but unfortunately it just hurts, so I don't. Did I miss anything on chat? Chap was one. I read that he's currently chasing a 53 millimeter Citizen. See, and I didn't even know Citizen had that size. You know what I mean? So that's super dope. That's another company that I'm gonna be getting into soon. I'm gonna be talking about Boulevard. I have something in motion. I don't want to speak about it too early, but I have something in motion with Boulevard. They actually reached out to me. Hopefully that goes through, and we'll be taking a look at one of their watches as well. But Citizen is another one. The Ciosa, and at this point, I might as well grab a Ciosa to have a full-fledged comparison. So if you take the Ciosa, you take the Tissot PRX, you take the Casio Edifice. What else is integrated that's going to be within that realm? I think those three, and you take them, and you can have a decent conversation over plus or minus which one is going to be a better choice, or more so what I appreciate from the differences between that, if that makes any sense. So I think that I definitely want to take a look at more Citizens for sure. I have the Blue Angels, but I need to take a look at more of their watches, and I've heard they're actually receptive to content creators and everything else. So I definitely will. What are you guys saying? Boulevard make some great watches. And Spectre Control, I tell you what, man, I kind of had a, what do you call it? I was kind of zeroed in with just the BLP. And I really didn't look at the collection like that. But I'll be honest with you, I think it's their Seville and there's another one. There's another one with that green that like almond green, not almond green. It's like a very lime type of green. But Boulevard makes, and I'll tell you what, that precision movement is for watch enthusiasts. I was rather impressed with A, how accurate that movement is, and B, I had no idea that it had a smooth sweep because of how high beat it was for a quartz, and it doesn't burn so much battery as you would think. So I mean, the Seville is another watch to talk about for sure, and I may or may not be talking about that watch coming in, you know, Navy Hawk. Yep, yep. Navihawk is good. For me, my entry, my not entry, but the watch that I went with Citizen was the Blue Angels. When I saw that it had all the things, and especially the power reserve that you can just press a button, that was for me, man. And that Pilot watch is a little busy, but solar powered. It has all the crazy specifications. It is radio controlled, but I never get to radio control it. It never reaches the towers. But yeah, man, Citizen has such a wide collection. I've been sleeping on Citizen. I know that I give you guys kind of the same companies, but I'm learning things slowly, right? I'm wrapping my mind around it. And not for nothing, it's hard, man, because even when you're talking about set companies, if you take examples of Brew or Venetianico, the companies that I always bring up, man, and especially like if I was talking about Chris Ward, like we're seeing the market, and we'll talk about this more on Monday, but we're seeing the market pedal to the metal. Like the amount of releases, especially Chris Ward, Venetianico, those two alone could have you talking about them for the rest of the year. Every time you turn your back, there's a new watch. And so it's rather exciting, but it could be overwhelming. But at the same time, like it does make it harder to diversify. But at the end of the day, Citizen, who, as you guys know, own Boulevard, is definitely worth talking about in everything else. And I know Travis does an incredible job at Trifecta showing you guys a whole bunch of Citizen watches and everything else. But I was really impressed with, like, Boulevard needs to be talked about more. The Seville is definitely an enthusiast watch. And in fact, much like how the Brew, right? The reason why the Brew is so good is because you don't have to be a watch enthusiast to really enjoy A, the design, but B, the simplicity of having a quartz movement. Now, if you take Boulevard in the same respect, and they have a TV design watch, the Seville, and you take that high beat movement and it still has a smooth sweep to the second hand, that's an enthusiast thing to do. And there's more about that watch physically and how it's been manufactured that even an enthusiast with the sharp eye will very greatly appreciate. And hopefully, my understanding with Boulevard goes through, and I was really honored that they even reached out. But hopefully, we'll get that watch in the channel very soon, and I'll give you guys all the ins and outs as far as that's concerned. So, with that being said, ladies and gentlemen, I appreciate you guys joining me, taking a look at this Vario watch, man. I'm really excited for Ivan. I think he has now positioned himself to really explode. I think he's on the right track, and he's not going to stop. I know that. I know he's got a million different things in his mind to design, and he will do so. So for 26, I'm very excited to see. But I don't know. Let me know if you guys are going to grab this. If you do, you know what to do. Put it on the community post. Let me see the wrist shots. As a matter of fact, I want to see what you're wearing today. So after this live, post in the community what you guys have on wrist. I'll give you guys a wrist shot of this, and I'll give you guys more of an in-depth look to this review of the watch, as I like to actually wear the watch and then give you guys my feedback in doing so. With that being said, I appreciate you guys for spending your most valuable asset, which is time, and I'll hopefully see you in the next one. Later, guys. Have a fantastic weekend. Peace.